Hi, everybody. I'm Valerie Kimber, and I run the You versus You Women Over 50 fitness group. I have Amy Elizabeth here with me, and we are going to have a little chat about what makes her inspiring. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Valerie.
Nice to have you here.
It's
Thank
so great
you.
to see you and talk
Really
with
appreciate
you.
it. So, you were our first cover model of this year. And I will say at that time, I did not really know what I was going to be doing with this
Mm,
series. So you
yeah.
didn't get a chance to do a video with me. That came later. So I've now gotten three under my belt, and I wanted to talk to you like we did with Karen. So I appreciate you taking the time. I'm
Don't
going to
worry.
start with the basics. When did you catch the fitness bug?
It was relatively late in life. So, I mean, when I was a kid, I was like the least athletic person that you would ever know. I was not, I mean, I loved running, playing, I was an active kid, but I was not into sports. I was not into athletic anything. So, late in my 40s, I kind of had a wake up call. So both my parents fell ill and
Mm.
passed away, unfortunately, when
Oh,
they were just way too young. My father died in 2015, and I was 44 years old. And
mhm.
then my mom died in 2021, and I was 49. So when I reached my 50th birthday, I mean, I celebrated. I was 50, but my parents were gone, and
Yeah.
and that really shifted me. It changed. It continues to change me every day of my life. Prior to that, about 10 years prior to that, in my early 40s, I saw the light. I mean, I saw what was happening with my folks. I saw that, I kind of I read the writing on the wall, and but ironically, my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, lived to be almost 103.
Oh, wow.
So when I saw this happening, and I kind of had this wake up call, and I thought, in my life I have this choice to make. And I thought, first, my panic, my fear was saying, like, I can't die. Like, I gotta live to be like a old lady. Like, I have to live to be 110. And I had no idea how that was gonna happen. I was just like, I had this fear instinct, right? This like panic, like, I just gotta stay alive. And then I started to realize that, like, I had genetically, I could do this. It wasn't just a funny joke. It was like I could really make this happen in my life. Like, how was I going to do this? And I just recently finished a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Oh,
And I
yep.
took his master class too. He's a great guy. He's really charismatic, and he reads the book in the audiobook. And he says, when you're trying to make a habit, and I did this like 10 years ago, and I didn't really realize it, but he kind of articulated it really well. He said, when you have a goal, like an overarching goal of your life, figure out what kind of person does that. Instead of like, I want to do this, like, I want to start exercising and working out, what kind of person is the person that you want to be? If I want to be an old lady at 110, and I want to walk up and down the stairs, and I want to be able to lift my great great grandchildren off of the floor when they hug me, and I want to be able to get myself off the floor myself, and I don't, what is that person I want to be? What does she need to do? And those get that precipitated this entire goal of, like,
Wow.
changing my life to be a healthy woman. Like, what does she look like? What does Amy look like at 110, And what does she want to do with her life? And if I can't do it at 50, I'm not going to be able to do it at 100.
Yeah.
So I
Good
was like,
point.
right, or 40 at the time. I was like, I have to do some major changes. So I went to the doctor. I had my physical, and my doctor said, genetically, you are great. You have all your right numbers. Your LDL and your HDL are all perfect, right? Your genetics are great, but you have to start exercising.
Mm.
And I looked at him and I said, that's impossible. I said, you have no idea. I'm not an exercise person. Like, I'm allergic to exercise. I can't do it. And he was like, well, that's what, it's my advice. Like, if you exercised, you would change your entire metabolism, your entire existence. So fast forward 10 years, and I went back to the doctor at 51 years old, and same doctor, he was retiring a week later. after
Wow.
this physical. So I sat with him and I said, guess what? I'm exercising every day. I work out every day. I'm really, I am at the peak of my fitness right now, 51. He's looked at me and he said, you are the healthiest woman in her 50s that I have ever seen in my practice. I kid you not, in her
Wow.
50s. And he said, and I'm retiring in 1 week. I probably won't see anyone like you. He goes, you did it. You changed your entire trajectory of your
Yep.
life because you added exercise. And I had no idea what an impact that would have on my health. And it's changed everything. I
Mhm.
think that, it's changed my whole entire outlook on things. So
Well,
I
that's
just,
quite a statement from a
it,
doctor.
it really is. And I was so proud of myself and
You
happy
should
that he
be.
said that to me. And that I was, I think the key for me was like, I didn't see myself at 40. I had no idea that was possible,
Right.
and if my 40-year-old self could look at my 51-year-old self and say, look at you, you're working out every day. You would not, you're not going to believe what this is going to do for you. And yet it took that 10 years of like, I didn't want to do it. I was resisting it. I mean, I can remember the first day I worked out for 30 minutes and it hurt for 29 minutes. I mean, I was in pain. I just couldn't stand it. And now I do things that are beyond what I thought I was capable of.
Yep,
So you just
exactly.
never know how those kinds of changes can be possible for you. I think the
What trainer are you using right now?
So I work out almost exclusively with Caroline
Okay.
Gervin. I have her app
Yep.
and I just find her to be someone who pushes me.
Mhm.
I think that she's very strong, physically strong, but I also think that she has, in her app, she has a lot of other information that she writes about. And I'm kind of learning about her as from a human being standpoint and really understanding her motivations. And I think she's brilliant.
Yeah.
And what I like is she has these challenges, right? That are like, 10 weeks or 7 weeks. And so I can check off a box. It's very
Yes.
satisfying for me to say, I'm on day 7, I'm on day 8. And I like that progression of her workouts. I can't do the same thing every day. I just
Yeah.
can't. I
Yep.
literally can't. It would drive me crazy. So for me, that works. And she does strength training,
Yep.
a little bit of cardio. I do swim at the local high school on Saturdays. I do like an aqua swimming, aqua jogging, if you will.
Fun.
It's a little bit of cardio for me. I've always said that I'm not a runner, but the moment I say I'm not something is like it triggers me to say like maybe there's might be
You never
a
know.
future. I don't know. But so
Give
I'm
you
always
10 more
open to
years.
trying new things, right? Who knows? Who knows? Maybe that's my next goal. So
That's great. That's great. I like Caroline because she is tough,
hmm
but what I have learned is it is still doable. I can do it,
hmm
even though it is hard.
it's
And
so
it makes
hard.
me
And
feel so
yeah.
good at the end.
I think that's what it is too. It's like,
Mhm.
when I feel like I finish her workouts, I feel like I can do anything. Like
Me too.
I feel like if I can do that in the morning, and I've recommended her to friends, and they've like basically quit. Like they were like, it's too much. Like I
Yeah.
can't do it. And then I'm like, well, it makes me feel like, well, every day
Yeah.
I can do it. I can check off that box and say like, I've climbed the ladder a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's
and I am getting
awesome.
stronger because, I've increased my weights. I'm constantly, pushing myself. And I think, she helps me do that. She helps me
Yeah.
say, I'm going up to this weight, try it, try a couple more try
Hmm.
a couple more reps, keep pushing through that wall.
Yeah. Oh no, that's great. That's a good point. It's very she's inspiring and you're inspiring also. Speaking of inspiring, you posted something the other day that I saw that was something about your son was inspiring you to up your game in the plank challenge, one of our daily challenges we have that repeat week after week. So I'd love for you to tell us more about you and your son.
So again, every time I say I can't do something,
Hmm.
I think my brain just like lights up and says like, "Whoa, like stop, like you need to check in on that." and I was doing planks and I was getting to like 100, like a minute 20, right? 120, 130, and which isn't bad, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a good plank. I mean, I felt like I was strong enough to get into plank for it. And after that, I would just completely collapse. And then my son, who's 18 years old, said to me in passing, he's like, "Yeah, I do a 3-minute plank every morning." And I was like,
What?
and a little bit, and I'm not very competitive. I'm just not a competitive person.
Hmm.
But I was inspired, and I was like, "What the? You're 18 years old." And I thought, and he's not a bodybuilder, but he's very mentally strong. And
Hmm.
he said, he goes, you know, it's possible, mom, it's really possible. And I was like, okay, I'm
Wow.
gonna try this. So I did, and I failed, you know, a couple times, and I got a little discouraged. And he said, no, 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 you need to have the right song. You need to put your earbuds in, and you need to have that song on that really puts a fire in your belly, like
Mm.
really strong, like loud song that's going to motivate you through it. And he gave me some tips, and I did it. And I've been doing this now for almost 2 weeks,
Wow.
and I have pushed through so much. For me, it's more mental than
Hmm.
physical. I think that, you know, the strength happens when you go through that point at which you feel like you can't go any farther, when you just push through that last 15 seconds, the last 30 seconds. It's just that feeling, it's brought me to tears. And
Wow.
there's, you know, honestly, it's brought me to tears. I've just loved it. So I'm
That's,
just gonna keep going with it and see how
I love that.
it
And I love that you shared it with the group, that your son is inspiring you back, because I'm sure you're inspiring him as well. That's nice.
yeah, we talked about it last night, and he was kind of impressed. I have to tell you, he was like, "Mom, that's pretty cool. I'm glad you took
Yeah.
my advice." And I said, "Yeah." I go, you know, it's one of those things where I think about the this, like I said, pushing through, you know, it's
Mhm.
that those times when you feel like you can't do something,
Yeah.
you know. And I think about, you know, my goal of being, you know, of living life, and not
Yeah.
just living a long life, but living a rich life. You know, these are the kinds of things when I get to, I before I even shower in the morning, if I could do a 3-minute plank and I could do Caroline's workout, I feel like, you know what, the day could like go to shit.
Yes.
I've
Yep.
still like accomplished something great.
That's
And
right.
so I feel like, you know, and those are the kinds of things that give me that creativity of my life. I feel like that's my purpose, is to be inspired, look for the inspiration, and then give it back. Just being completely fueled by that.
That's awesome. Okay, so what's next for you? We'll have to wrap it up a little bit quickly. We're running out of video time as this free version. But what's next? How are you going to live to 110?
You know what? It fuels my daily goal, my weekly goals, my monthly goals. I think, you know, every time I look at my life, and every decision I make is based on, you know, of really getting the most out of it that I possibly can, to squeezing every last drop out of life, and being creative and being inspired. So yeah, right, what's next? Who knows? Every
Yeah,
time someone says, "Well, that's hard." "Well, that's impossible." Then I go, "Okay, well, let me try
we'll
that." So
see.
I don't know. We'll see what. And like I said, every time I say, "Well, I'm just not a runner," or "I'm not this,"
Hmm.
then it propels me to think about things differently, and think maybe I am, and maybe, you know, there's stuff, there's things possible. So who knows? But I'm just
That's
gonna keep
awesome.
practicing. I always, you know, I like to think of this as a practice, just like, you know, mindfulness is a practice. Creativity is a practice. I never feel like I've mastered anything, and if
Yeah.
I did, I wouldn't have the motivation. I think for me, it's the motivation is almost, it's better when you're not successful at
Hmm.
something. When you have other, you know, you've got to keep raising that bar, or else
Yes,
you know, what's the point? You know, then
I
I might as
agree.
well just like give up. So to me,
That's a
it's just
good point.
keep practicing.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you very much for
It
taking.
was such a pleasure to talk with you.
I
Thank
know
you.
it was you too. These are very fun for me, so I appreciate you guys doing them for me and for the group, and for our Get Inspired series.
Great. Well, thanks
All right,
for hosting.
you're welcome. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.